Matthew Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. Hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate all the amazing people across this great state who are working so hard to make it a great place to live, work, and play. Hey, I want to commend my wonderful partner in this journey, Cal Curley. If you use Skype, that's what we used to use to do this show. You know that Skype's about to go away. I think they're moving to Teams or something like that. But the Skype that we use to do this show is gone now. And so what we did is we moved over to a program called vMix. And it's the program they used in Jackson for all these years to be able to do the remote call-ins and video and so on. And we've adopted it here. But it's taken Kyle, when you move from one to the next, you got to build all these transitions and automations and all these things. And he's been deep in it, and we're starting to get to a point where we're kind of where we want to be. I'll also mention that during this time, my computer, my longtime Mac, went down, and I had to crank up a new Mac, and still haven't got the camera thing worked out. We'll get that fixed soon. But at the end of the day, we're moving forward, and I wouldn't be doing this show if it weren't for Cal Curley. So, Cal, thank you, my friend.
You bet. I always enjoy reverse engineering stuff. I take that theory back to when I first started doing overnights, and I would break stuff in the overnights and know that I had until 6 a.m. to get it fixed. So I forced myself to learn things, and that's how I do it now. It's probably not the best, but it works for me.
Hey, incidentally, check that clock right there. But one of the things I mentioned to Kyle yesterday was I want to be able to see when he's hit the record button in case he misses hitting it. I can say, well, we don't have the record button hit. And we talked about that yesterday, and already he's got it up on the screen with a countdown in red. And the moment he pushes that button, it's red for me too, so I can see it. So we can check each other on that. But he's very innovative, great partner in this journey. And again, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him. Listen, I was so thrilled when I saw who popped up on my schedule for today. My friend Steve Azar, the singer-songwriter, the ambassador for, well, he's just a Mississippi ambassador, period. But it's great to see you, my friend Steve.
I would like a Kyle. Can I have one, please? Could you order them? You can order them online. It's great to see you too. It's great to see you. But, I don't have a Kyle for my Super Talk show. I have
you need to do video, and we need to work a deal so you can have Kyle for your shows. What you got to say about that, Kyle?
It has been in discussions for over a year now.
Yeah, let's keep discussing.
So for people who are watching this show on Facebook or SuperTalk TV or YouTube, Steve's a pretty face, and he has his own show in a Mississippi Minute. And he could put his pretty face on his show a couple of times a week with his incredible guests. I don't know where he gets all these incredible guests. And it's so easy to do, but he's resistant for whatever reason.
Only time I'm visual is on your show. Huh?
Is the dam about to break for you on that?
I don't think so. I don't know. I have to have a Kyle. That's all I'm saying. I've got my Kyle is Chris, my tour manager, and when I'm on the road, and he makes me, I've got everything prepared. I can just look at it, and there it is. Everywhere I've got to be, when I got to be, why I got to be, who I'm going to be with. It's all on a day sheet. So, but this radio thing, I've been doing it. I've been, just sending everything to Will, and but it's been a wonderful journey. And it's been awesome, like you and I both have discussed over the years now of getting to do this, learning to listen. I'm starting to sound like a cliche, but that's been the greatest gift for me doing this show. And I know you've talked about that as well, the gift of listening and not being the one to always ask the questions, which has been the case for me. And I think I noticed that over time, I would ask questions, and this used to be a pet peeve. I could tell when somebody would ask me something, and then they would start immediately wandering, and they weren't listening to the answer. I've had people in my life where I just make up an answer, nothing to do with the question, just to see if they really weren't listening. And I think I was a little guilty of that myself, not because I wanted to be and being rude, but because my mind wanders, So the wandering mind is not a good thing for being a host on a radio show. So I've had to.
But what's interesting? You've mastered it though, Steve. I enjoy listening to your show. What's interesting about long form though, like this show, like your show, is that you have to listen, because what you want it to be is you want it to be a conversation that finds interesting crossroads that your guest takes you to, and then you rush down that one of those roads to see where it takes you, and conversations can go Lord knows where, and people enjoy that. They enjoy the serendipity of that. You and I, when we get together, we don't have bullets. We just get together and talk what's on our minds right now, and I get to catch up and let listeners see what you're up to. I love that.
I've been having to do a lot of part twos, especially lately, because I'm prepared for that. And then we never even look at it, because we're just the conversation starts somehow and it just keeps leading you down a different road. And then I'll go, I got to have you for part two so I can get to what I wanted to ask you in the first place. So it's the magic. And those are the moments that you need, I think, for the listener to give a dang and to know that you are having this conversation. And I think what it does is it invites them into that conversation, like they're like the listeners literally there with us, And I can almost hear all of our listeners, our hundreds of thousands of beautiful people that pay attention to us, because I don't know why, but it's been so much fun, so gratifying. And you and me, I mean, I'm in my 8th year now. It's insane with in Mississippi. Just so much fun. I'm not tired at all of it. You're in 6,
I'm in the
You're on my heels.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. You're past me because you do a daily show, and I do a 2-day show. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm re-aired over the weekends. But so I guess you could say I'm doing 4 shows a week, although 2 of them are the same.
I'm total because of SuperTalk Outdoors. I get to do 6 1-hour shows a week, and
that's a lot.
I see it. I said, well, look, here's the thing. I come into the studio at the house, and I love not having to be a CEO anymore. It was great to have the opportunity to retire in 2016, but the opportunity to just sit down with people and learn from them, it's so helpful. I've been writing a lot, for example, about coastal Mississippi and the need to take more of a regional view towards the big projects, the big economic development projects. And I'm able to pull from conversations. I mean, we're up to somewhere between 14 and 1,500 conversations. And you know how I do it. I take copious notes. And then even if I didn't need to take notes, I've got all these shows. And now I can run a show through a certain app, and it will convert that show to words in about 10 seconds. It's amazing.
Unbelievable. Yeah. This whole technology thing is a beautiful thing.
I have a history lesson that I have gathered, and it inspires me. It makes me want to make a difference, and it's cool, And then I get to be friends with people like you and watch your wonderful career. So why don't we do this? Let's bring people up to date. One of the things I like what you're doing, I have to taste it at some point, but I don't have to be me till Monday. Let's see. It's Bloody Mary mix is what I see. Is it good?
It's the best ever. There's no Bloody Mary better. I'm telling you. I'm not just saying it. Chef David Cruz, who I'm a big fan of, we are the ones that got together, and he said, look, we're spending so much money on Zing Zang for my show, my resident gig for Viking. And he said, what are we doing? I go, well, we don't want it unless we're going to be as good. And Pearl River Resort has it in 5 different locations. And what I've heard from Matt and the team there is that we're a little more expensive. We're craft. I mean, everything in there is pretty dang amazing. And there's a lot more going on in there. You have to add nothing. It's thicker. And so they said that we've taken away over 50% of the Zing Zang buyers, and ours is more expensive. And I said, is that good? And he was going like, Steve, that's a national global brand, and you're stealing their thunder. And I said, I want it all. Come on, I want all of it. I want all of it. But no, it's so good. And you know what? My daughter made beans with it the other day. David used it for shrimp cocktail. I mean, so there's a lot of things you can do with it. And so we're having fun, and we're in a lot of places right now. Mitchell Distributing and Southern Beverage in the state, which are both Anheuser-Busch folks. And then we're in Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia with all of the Clark Pumping shops. We are in South Dakota at the country club there. I mean, we're in a lot of places. Vikings about to put it on their ship, the Mississippi ship. And we're about to be on Bill Street, we think, with a bunch of restaurants. So it's growing, and we're probably going to go to Amazon soon. Amazon's really hard to just get it to do the paperwork and figure it out. I mean, I feel so stupid. I gave up. My daughter's given up. Gwen's supposed to be working on it. She's going to give up. I mean, it's like we need somebody that has something on Amazon, because you're dealing with a product, that has a shelf life of a year. It's heat pressed, heat made, So, but anyway, if RFK and all those guys, I checked on it, if they come in and wanting to make sure that we will be okay, our producer in Nashville says, you are good. Your stuff is all safe and healthy. So,
hey,
are you waving us off?
Go to a break. We'll go to a break, but when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Steve Azar. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. We're visiting with my friend Steve Azar, the singer-songwriter from Mississippi. And he's just a good friend. He also has a show here on SuperTalk in a Mississippi Minute that plays on Thursdays and Fridays. It's terrific. If you haven't listened to it, you can go to you can go to YouTube. You can certainly go to your favorite podcast and just look up, or not podcast. That's not really what I was meaning, but your I guess podcast platform, and you can put in a Mississippi Minute, and Steve Azar comes up. Steve, when you wrote "I Don't Have to Be Me Till Monday," did you ever think that in the future you would be putting that label on stuff? It's pretty cool the way that's all evolved.
It's even more cool that Pearl River Resort, it's on their keys. It says no work, all play. It's on their door things, instead of saying it went off the deep end. That takes the lyrics of the song. I've driven in Canton, and you see the big billboards, call an early weekend or be who you want to be. I mean, like, it's been insane. Matt and the guys, Matt's a brilliant marketer, Matt Perkins, and he has taken the song lyric by lyric and used each one line for entire campaigns. And we've won Telly Awards. We just won Best of Show last year in a Telly Award for one of the commercials. And that's in the whole in the nation. So we're having so much fun together. And I've really, really enjoyed my time over there. And, of course, when we made the Bloody Mary mix, I sent Matt a picture, and I was showing him and all that. And he goes, that has to come in. I said, I didn't want to ask. He goes, this is just more adding to the brand that we are, which is you in that song. And so I've had the best time over there. But, but it's been you know what? This is just fun. And there's no stress, I check in on everybody, see if it's doing all right and all that. But I do feel like that we're going to have to step our game up a little bit, because we're at a point now where with distributors and stuff, we owe it to them to have some social media ads at least, and some other things that we need to be doing. And Strax I've already got him filming some ads, but the first ad we filmed was when the pond finally had water in it, by the way, and I'm happy about that. The beavers have done their thing. But with that said, the trees hadn't started to bloom yet, all the cypresses and everything, so it looks like winter. It looks like hunting season. So now the commercials that I have, I don't think I need to run them until the leaves fall. So I need to hurry up and film some other ones. But it makes you go, well, I just can't leave it sitting there. I got to do something, because it's just not fair to everybody that's participating now. So we're on it. And Pearl River Resort has been an incredible partner. They're the only casino in Mississippi that gets to have it. That's my deal. They have been helping me with breaking the brand, and I'm loyal, baby. I'm loyal. They're loyal to me, and I'm loyal to them.
Hey, so you mentioned your son. He's a movie producer. What's the latest on his movie, and what's going to happen next?
Well, they made him change the name. You knew the original name was the Banality, and I'm trying to get us a visual for you to see the latest, because he went through that whole thing and recolored, re-edited, reworked on the sound. You know, he co-directed and co-wrote it, but and he edited it all. But you know, after COVID, it was before COVID. And so there's a lot of shows that you see on Netflix and Amazon Prime, and theirs will be on Amazon Prime, but that have been out for years, but they finally found a home. For instance, our buddy Jackie Flynn is on a show called Louder Milk, which is about an AA recovering group. And it's very touching, but funny too, you know, and it's written by Peter Farrelly, who directed Green Book, who won the Academy Award. Now the Farrelly brothers have Me, Myself, and Irene, Something About Mary, Dumb and Dumber. They have all those shows, but anyway, he's even had to fight for it to land on Netflix. It was in the top 10 for a long time, and now he's having to fight again to have more seasons. So even an Academy Award winning guy still has to work that hard, and it just takes years sometimes. And a lot of stuff's been made, and now it gets recirculated with a different format, and then all of a sudden it becomes a hit. So that's cool to see, because in the music business, a song that's really worthy, even though it sits there, even though it's been recorded by 3 big acts and it was never a big hit, it'll find its way and make it to the day it does find the wings, the right artist, the right time, and it becomes a big hit. It's just the way creative stuff is. If you just don't give up on it, you know.
What's the new name?
Death Letter Blues.
Okay.
Death Letter Blues. It makes a lot of sense. Remember, there was 2 letters in there. One about they were bullying this kid, that was the feral child. And there was a different kind of kid raised in. Anyways, a little bit of a sci-fi thing. Now he's written a new thing that looks pretty insane, and so he hopes he can get the success with this to piggyback and just go right into that one, which is what they got to do. You got to get on a momentum train, to do that. Yeah. So it'll be out in June, July. So we're excited to finally let that happen. So that's good.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine who's in the construction business, and he said. And he has a lot of business going on, but he said to me once that I'm doing good as long as I can keep my pump primed. I love the way he said
That's
it.
Good.
And the same thing's true for a movie producer, man. You got to keep that pump primed.
I wanted our kids. You're right. You're 100% correct, and you got to be ahead of yourself. So you can't get to the point where you get complacent, and all of a sudden you start celebrating any sort of success. And then all of a sudden you got to wake up the next morning and go, I've got nothing to put out after that. You've got to really stay ahead of the game, and you should want to stay ahead because it's what you do. You're working on a book right now, and your book is keeping you up. You said you got up at 3 this morning. It's what happens when you're in this creative process, and you don't want to let it down. You want to be flawless as you can be. And I know how you are. I mean, with everything that you do. So I guarantee that you're going to have, your book's going to be as perfect can be. I'm very excited about it, by the way. I'm very excited to get it, have it in my studio. I'm going to have it in my studio with Rising Tide. It's going to be right there. You can't see all this stuff. I do notice I've got way more golf trophies than music awards, and that's not good. Not good. Not good at all. Not good, Kyle.
Well, look, I mean, at one point you were one of the most celebrated celebrity golfers in the United States. How's your golf game doing?
No, nowhere near it. I mean, I was working back in the day when I moved home. I went from hitting balls every day and training, basically. It was a really relaxing thing for just go get a triangle of balls at our country club in Nashville. It was right down the street, and I would get coffee and I would just hit balls and I'd go play. I was able to do that because all I was really doing was writing and touring, and there wasn't I was a brand ambassador. I was the guy for ExxonMobil for a while, so I had certain obligations with that. But really, my life was pretty centralized. There wasn't any entrepreneurial things that were happening. I wasn't producing other acts. All I had to do was write songs, tour, record, all that, and hit and play golf. And then and I was able to travel with my game. It got really good, but now when I got home, I was playing twice a week, to once a week, to once a month. I've played 4 times this year now, and where are we at, in April already? And there's not a lot of practice going on. And so when the kids started getting to have their moments is when I decided that I really want to soak this in before they're out, because I was gone 200 and something days a year, every year on the bus. And I'd come home like a hurricane and like a circus and like Disney World. And Gwen would just go, you can't blow my structure. We're on a plan here and you're whipping in. And so all of those things were happening. But when we moved down here, I was able to come off the road more and coach basketball and do those things that I just wanted to be around for. And so that was the game changer for me. And that's when I stopped giving a dang about golf. I still love to play. Let's say I still like to play, but I'm nothing compared. I mean, I can play 12 out of 18 holes pretty steady, but then the rest of it's a mess. So yeah, it's not all coming together. So it's what it is. And all my friends are going, what happened to you? I said, hey, I had my time, and let me just enjoy being out here with you guys. Don't make me go low, because it ain't happening. It's not happening. And I'm okay with it. I've accepted it.
I used to say this, that I play golf once a year to remind myself why I don't play. So, doing the outdoors and doing the outdoors, being a CEO and then being, the time you have off, you want to be with the family. And then we're going to fish every weekend during the summer, and we're going to hunt during the winter. And
you can't do golf with that.
Can't.
No, are you going to be living alone? You'll be alone. Like a 1-bedroom apartment. And Ann's got the house with the view.
Hey, that was definitely not in the cards for me. But something I want to talk about on the other side, because we're getting down to less than a minute. But when you look at how our kids turned out, my 3 kids, your 3 kids, what that is a statement about is how darn good a mother they had. Because with your career and my career, what they brought to the table.
They raised our kids.
Day in and day out, what they brought is incredible, man. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with my friend, Steve Azar. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting with Steve Azar, the music and cultural ambassador for the state of Mississippi. Has a show on SuperTalk called In a Mississippi Minute. And had a terrific singer-songwriter career, still enjoying that. Has his own residency in Greenville for Viking Cruise Line. And I love to track your progress there, Steve. Again, we've talked about it many times on the show, but what a gift that is. We'll come back to that in a second. But let me talk about Gwen and Ann for a second. I think I mentioned to you there was this moment when I retired, and I was sitting there at the table with Ann, and she was talking to one of my kids. And it was so amazing how she knew what was happening in their lives and what was the conversation that they were having. And during that conversation, I literally started to cry. And she got the phone. She said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Good Lord, Ann. I'm hearing what I missed. Good Lord, are you a good mother? What you're saying and how you're saying." And look, when I was home, and I tried to never let the kids see my career. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though it was consuming, I tried not to show the career. But, during the day in and day out, making sure the kids are where they need to be and that they're making the grades they need to be making and that they're preparing themselves for college. And I see where they are today, doing so extraordinarily well. My God. And then look at your kids, Steve. Look what Gwen helped you create.
Mm-hmm. They got some issues too, and I always let her know that. Where'd you mess up right there? What is that? Right? What just happened during that period? No, I'm kidding. I don't go there. I'm joking. No, she did a great job, man. She's a great mom. She's a great wife, and we're blessed. I can tell you. We'll just take it. Folks used to go, "You're so lucky." I used to take that. I said, "Well, what about them being lucky?" As a joke, But I'd be a little offended. I'm going like, "Hey, well, maybe I've earned it, but I've never earned. You and me have never earned that. We got lucky."
Hey, you know what I asked you? You were on the road a lot as a musician, and had a lot of success doing that in Nashville for a number of years, and ultimately having the opportunity to come home to Greenville. But to have this in residence thing that you're doing in Greenville that you and I have talked about many times, where Viking Cruise Line is so committed to telling the story of Mississippi, and it's rated high in the universe of Viking Cruise Line and all that. I would say, does it ever get old to you? But you're used to being on the road, maybe, doing, hundreds of shows a year. That gets old. But what you're doing now, it's got to feel like a blessing every time you do it.
Let me tell you what the blessing is. I'll play a few of the hits, but the good news is, Waiting on Joe is very Mississippi and very the river and the Delta and all that. But the rest of the songs are the ones I wrote strictly about us and the river. And I get to do all these songs, and there's so many close stories to me because I can remember where I was, how they were written. Obviously, having the state song is the glue to it all. But it's so rewarding to get to play those songs in a show rather than making sure that I played enough of everything else. And so it's given me purpose at this point in my life. And those songs purpose and more meaning. And it's just like there's just more culture about, and that's looking back at what I always wanted. I always wanted to be known about the guy that writes about his home in Mississippi, and I'm getting that now more than ever. Yeah. And you got 400 different people each night coming from all over to us. I mean, who would think that Greenville would be at the E.E. Bass Cultural Arts Center, which we are working hard to save, because it's one of those things, one of those buildings, one of those old high schools that where all the performing arts are held. And, that every town's got one. And so it's been a blessing for everybody concerned there. And, it's just the greatest show that I could ever imagine putting on. I mean, this would be, if I was in Vegas, I'd do anything to put this on. So, but it doesn't make sense in Vegas. It doesn't make sense in Branson. It only makes sense where I'm doing it.
What's so interesting to me, I've been thinking about this a lot just because of the book that I'm writing. It's centered around Katrina, but it's also about my life storms that prepared me for that. And what's interesting about your story is that these chapters in your life, that moment in Nashville where you said, I'm going to go in a different direction now, and I'm going to go back home. And the album Mississippi Reunion and what's centered around that. I mean, I can hear Indianola and Rosedale in my head literally as I'm talking to you now. But you got this and then the state song. There's these moments of divine intervention that at the time you don't really understand what they are, but there's this accumulation of experiences. I mean, everyone has them. Some of these are more significant than others. But if you think about where you came from and where you are, and then the culmination of One Mississippi and your book, One Mississippi, and all the, man, it's like, and then where did Viking Cruise Line come from to be able to give you this exclamation point that brings it all together? What a freaking series of events that led to that.
Well, and we're employing like 70 people for this thing. So when we do get to the second ship, which is coming, as we hear it, then all of a sudden those folks have this double, then it really starts to add up. And we pay very well, which is awesome because we should. But they've been gracious enough to open their checkbook to be able to do that, where everybody feels like this is really worth it, and everybody's smiling, everybody's happy. We're a very hospitable place, that, and we're a very unique place. We're a lot of characters, a lot of personalities, and there is no place like Mississippi. So we're getting to celebrate that in song. It was Craig Ray, that told me a while back, why don't you make an album with a compilation of your Mississippi stuff? And I went, So he's the reason I did it, because I was the music and culture ambassador in the car with him. We were running around, going to Liverpool, going to wherever we were. And he was the one that had the idea to do that. And I go, that's a good idea. And so then all of a sudden, we can't keep them. They're selling like hotcakes after the show. I mean, they're buying so many My Mississippi Reunion CDs and the One Mississippi children's books. Neil White just sent me 7 more cases. They'll be gone in 2 months. I mean, they're just selling in the stores and the folks are eating it up. But the passengers are coming and sailing the Mississippi, if I can say, boating the Mississippi because they want to learn about us and they want to know about us. And it just so happens that every one of these songs I've been writing has a lot of real history to it that I think it can relate and teach and culture them. At the same time, it's in song rather than I'm just reading something to them. You know what I mean? Like it's so it's music, and I think that is a big help. And I love to entertain, so and getting to entertain these songs. It's almost like I feel sorry for all my friends who have to go out and play just regular songs, and they have to fly to everywhere or bus to everywhere. And now mostly I'm here, and I come home and I'm on the couch watching golf at 2:00 in the afternoon. Now Sundays has been moved to night. So we don't get in until about 9:00, but that's not bad. That's not bad.
Hey, but Steve, what's interesting? I mean, you're around. We've talked about your band before, but some have gone and some have come in, but most of them have been with you for a long time. But they're super talented, man. You've got some really talented people. How do you not want to jam with them and find new songs?
Well, we have stuck. Well, Bob Seger told me something when we were out with him. I go, Bob, do you get tired of playing? Now, listen, he was playing for you. We played multiple nights in Detroit, right? And you're talking about probably a lot of the same people coming back and back. And he goes, you know what? They want to hear these songs, and I can never get tired of playing them. I have to always remember that it's not about me. It's about them. Second of all, how good can I make this show? I strive to make this show. Our band strives. How great can we do it? And so I think about that. I haven't changed a thing yet, except for what we say and stuff. We'll get a little loose at times, but because as an entertainer, you have to pay attention to what's going on in the crowd. And you just can't make a crowd. Every crowd doesn't deserve the same show in that regard. So there's always a little change up here and there. But we've really enjoyed. Now I could play another 8 or 10 different Mississippi songs and do it again and then do the next set 8 or 10. I've got tons of them. And I think that it would still work. But right now we're going to stick to what we're doing because it makes a lot of sense. And if it's not broke there, let's just get real good at it. So yes, it hadn't gotten, it hadn't gotten tiring at all. It's always a challenge.
That's good. I mean, and by the way, you got a new audience coming from the Viking Cruise Line.
And that's even different from Seeger's. So you think about him, he doesn't have a new audience. He probably has the same people that are so dedicated. And there's a zillion of them now. When he does his tours, you're number one in the land. You get the biggest tour on earth. But yeah, for me, getting to do it, I know that there's 400 different people. Now, we've had people that have shown up and a year later or 2 years later come back on the boat to see us again. Multiple times.
That's cool.
And then Ricky, we had somebody donate a month ago, said, because I talk about our foundation and when I talk about One Mississippi, how it all came to be, and it's all tied together. And then the next morning we wake up and Gwen goes, who is Bob and Debbie? They just donated $2,500 to the foundation. I mean, wow. You know what I mean? I'm going like $2,500, and I'm going like, and we've had a lot of $100 and $200 but never $2,500,
Wow, that's super cool. Hey, when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Steve Azar right here on the Ricky Matthews Show. We really appreciate you joining us. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. We'll have a final segment right after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. We're visiting with my friend Steve Azar from right here on SuperTalk with the In a Mississippi Minute. What a wonderful show that is, incidentally. He's also a music and cultural ambassador for the state, singer-songwriter. He's got his own in-residence associated with Viking Cruise Line, which is what we were talking about before we went to break. I'm going to shift gears real quick. While we were having the golf conversation, Steve, I should have brought this up then, but the Masters and watching Rory win the way he won, the Masters just period in history is such an iconic thing. But I think the average person, and I'm not a golfer, but I enjoy watching it, especially when there's a Rory playing. What a moment that was, wasn't it?
Well, it was watching the final round. We were about to go on stage. And so when I got there and I announced that Rory had just won, because it was right then, right when I first said hello to everybody, the crowd just erupted. It just shows its popularity. He's a influenced greatly by Tiger. And all of a sudden, here he comes. He wins the Grand Slam. How he did it, it was the craziest roller coaster ride. He hit the most awful shots and the most brilliant shots, all back to back to back to back. And it was awesome to watch him win. I had picked him to win, but after the first day, I know you get behind, and he's the only guy that ever had 4 double bogeys and won the Masters. I mean, that's a lot to overcome. But he also had 33s on his card, and that's never been done probably. But yeah, it was amazing. It was crazy. But I'm really happy.
Have you
for
ever
him.
met
I know
him?
that. I have not met Rory. I I used to do for TaylorMade at the Masters. I'd go do a couple occasions would do, and so I met Sergio and those guys. But when I would do an event for the Masters, they'd bring in and let's do a concert and stuff. So I haven't, but man, I've met a lot of famous golfers. But my favorite golfer in the world is Jim Gallagher Jr. Down the street here. He was influential in me getting my first record deal. He heard me playing one day. He said, "You got to go to Nashville." I thought things were done. It was a banker named Mickey Naiman, who's a Guarantee Bank, and he sent me to Nashville. And then we were in a sudden death playoff in Lake Village, and a guy named Paul Michaels, who had a big store. He's got a great guy down here in Lake Village, and we were in a playoff against each other. And he says, "I got to send you to Nashville. There's someone all at one time." And even though they didn't all work out at one time, they all mattered over the next 10 years in my career, everybody that I was sent to. It was crazy, actually. But, yeah, so, and there was golf that got me all my deals. I was always on the golf course. Interesting. Yeah, except for when Cecilia was being born, I got that's when I got my big record deal. I was in the hospital. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, so when I was a publisher, I had the opportunity to go to the Masters multiple times. I wasn't a golfer, so I didn't appreciate what this invitation was. And I look back on it now, and I'm like, good Lord. I said no a bunch of times for the opportunity to go there and take it all in. I wish I had one of those opportunities back because
you want to hear the opportunity? You want to hear the one I turned down? Because I was already set to go to the Monday after the Masters for Hootie and the Blowfish, the guys, and I was already booked. It's their foundation. I get a call from Kevin Sorbo, the actor, and he goes, "Hey, Jack," which is Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, wants you to come in, and we want you to play Waiting on Joe and one other, and we're going to play golf with them from the tees and the same pin positions that they played yesterday in the final round with Jack and Gary, right? But I was already committed, and I said, "I can't. I got to go to this thing." He goes, "Well, I'm bailing on that." And I said, "Well, I can't bail." When I was telling Darius and Mark and Dean and Sony, and they said, "Hey, we just want you to know that if we were coming to Mark and Dean had said we would have bailed on you, just FYI." I said, "Well, that's the difference in me and you guys." But anyway, I turned them down, and I have major regret. Major regret.
Yeah. Yeah, what a moment! I saw a video not long ago. Gary Player, I do high interval training, so I'll run really really fast for a minute, and then walk for a minute, and then run fast. And Gary Player's in his 80s, right? I saw a video of him doing the same thing. That he's had this incredible focus on his physical fitness his entire career, and still today he's still doing it, man. I mean, it's the reason why he's stood the test of time. It's amazing to watch someone like Gary Player be who he is and as old as he is.
Yeah, he's in shape. He's in the best shape more than any. He's known to do that. Yeah, it's like Jerry Rice in football days, But this is a guy that's in his 80s. Look, now Rice still looks like he could go out and play. But the rumors, the word was with Rice is he had the hardest summer workout on the planet, and whoever wanted to try it. He did it a lot in Greenville. He'd come down to Greenville because his wife was from Greenville. And we'd see him running up and down the levees, playing basketball, working out. It was all day. There he goes. Yeah. Here he comes again. It was like Forrest Gump out there, just getting himself in better shape than an NFL player, and the results are the results.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff. Listen, it's been great to catch up with you, man. You're a good friend. Keep up the good work. Continue to represent Mississippi so wonderfully.
Thank you, buddy. I love you.
Okay, listen, have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow. If I could have more guests like Steve Azar, we would be a hit show for sure. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.